All right, we're back. Graveyard Shift Movie Podcast, episode number 87. Ooh boy, I've been thinking about episode 100's coming up, and I don't know what we're gonna do. We gotta do something. For some reason, my thought is, yeah, I keep thinking we'll go back and do something with society since it was the first episode, but I don't know what we do.
No.
Wow, you don't even.
No.
That's like your favorite movie, though. Anyway, episode 87. This week, it was my pick. And I picked a movie called Rubber from 2011. About a killer tire. That's what the whole movie is. I saw this. So, when we get into it, I'll tell you at the point I stopped. I've never watched this full movie. I watched...
Wow.
I'll tell you when we, where I started it and then where I stopped watching this. And this was years ago. We came across it, and I've always wanted to finish it up. So, this was it. Maverick, what do you think about the Killer Tire movie?
This is getting a 0.
God damn.
It's nothing.
Well,
It's
yeah, that's
nothing.
the whole point of the movie.
I don't know if I would even say that's the point of the movie.
I mean, the movie opens up with the guy saying, there's no reason for this movie. Oh, Jesus, a 0.
It was terrible.
All right. Well, then, it's going to make you mad when I give this movie a 6.
You're out of your fucking mind.
Because as soon as the guy said there's no reason for this movie being made, I was like, all right, well, there's no reason for the movie being made. And then I just went with it, and I was like, Killer Tire. There is one story in there that I don't think they finished with that kind of bugged me. They kind of just gave up on it. Which, I mean, it's kind of the only story in the movie, so, you know, it's with him and the girl he keeps following, and they just kind of give up on that, and I was like, what? All right.
They do. Well, there's a lot wrong with this fucking movie.
Hey, well, we'll talk about it. So, spoiler warning for Rubber, if you've never seen it, we're going to ruin everything about it, so you've been warned. First off, before we start talking about the movie, how the fuck do you think they filmed this thing?
It was some dude with a camera behind this fucking wheel or tire that would just keep pushing it and filming it. That's how
what
I figured they did.
I kept thinking they would just do. I kept thinking they were doing a bunch of cuts where they would just roll it and then film it as far as it would go, and then they'd be like, "There we go." But then sometimes it would stop and then turn and go again, and I was like, and it's clearly it's a real tire. Like, I don't think there's any hardly CGI in this movie.
Yeah,
And
I have no idea.
I was like, how did they film this thing? I started thinking maybe they put like, it's a magnet tire and they have someone underneath making it go. I have no idea how they filmed
They probably just CGI'd, like they had something inside the middle of the tire and then CGI'd it out.
There's people knocking. All right, we're back. So anyway, yeah, like I was saying, I have no idea how they made that tire move, but you know. It was pretty neat. Movie opens up with a dirt road and a guy standing on the dirt road with a bunch of binoculars. And in the dirt road, a lot of binoculars. In the dirt road is a bunch of just wooden chairs just chilling out. In a weird pattern too. It was like a zigzag pattern. Next thing you know, this car comes driving down the road, and it's just a long shot of it hitting every chair, like turning into every chair.
Yeah.
And I was
they're like fake chairs too, because he just barely hits them and they kind of crumble.
I didn't really notice it until the very last one. He just barely and it just falls down.
Yeah,
I was like,
they just crumble apart. Mm-hmm. It's kind of pissed me off. I'm not gonna lie to you.
You were like, "This is shoddy chair craftsmanship."
Yeah, I'm like, they're trying to hide it. They're trying to hide. I felt like Tyler.
Like,
they're trying to hide it, but those are fake chairs. I see right through you.
Yeah.
Piece of shit.
Yeah.
Can't hide nothing from me. I see everything.
I was watching Viva La Bam yesterday, and Bam's mom like supposedly takes a bunch of his shirts out of his closet and gives it away to kids at the skate park. But when they were doing it, it was clearly like merch they sell in the store, even in like the plastic bags, and they were all the same logo. And I was like, "You're not fooling me, Viva La Bam! I know what you're doing." But yeah, the car it hits all the chairs, and then when it comes to a stop, the trunk opens up, and a pair of legs come out, and out of the trunk comes this guy dressed in a cop uniform,
or a cop just comes out of the trunk.
Yeah, but I say that because I don't know if he's a real cop or not. Like, I don't know what in this movie is real or fake. He comes around to the side of the car to the guy driving, and the guy rolls down the window. He hands him his shades, and then the guy hands him a glass of water. And so then the guy comes and he stands there, and he just looks at the camera and talks to the camera. But I'm not sure if because then after it's done, you see all the people standing there. So I don't know. I mean, clearly he was talking to us, but it kind of makes it seem like, oh, he's talking to these people. But he stands here, and the first thing he says is, why is the alien at E.T. brown? He's like, no reason. He goes, why in the movie JFK does the president get shot at the end? No reason. And I was like, I think there was historical significance to that.
In the Steven Spielberg movie E.T., why is the alien brown? No reason. In Love Story, why did the two characters fall madly in love with each other? No reason. In Oliver Stone's JFK, why is the president suddenly assassinated by some stranger? No reason.
But basically, he's like, why can't we see the air around us? You know, no reason. All these things have no reason. And he says, this film that you're about to watch is an homage to No Reason. And then he just pours out the water he's been holding. So there was no reason for him to be holding that water.
Yeah, it just pours out the water.
Yeah. And then when it pans out, we see there's a bunch of people here now who are they're getting handed the binoculars and stuff. Basically, the guy in the suit who we saw earlier with the binoculars, he's like their guide or something. And he points him over here, and he's like, all right, the show's going to start, all this shit. The one girl goes, is this going to be in color or black and white? And I was like, you're standing here. That was another thing, too, is like, it never looked like they moved positions in this movie, but the tire goes like miles and miles. I was like, these are really good binoculars. Like, they can see everything. There's also a kid in here who I don't know his name. I don't know if any of these characters have names, but I like to refer to him as Maverick because as soon as it starts, the kid goes, man, this is boring. And I was like, oh shit. And his dad is like, it's just starting. It's going to pick up, you know? Yeah, so that's the opening. We go to credits. And then after the credits, we come across the main character who I just call him Tire. I don't think he has a name. And he's like buried in some sand. And then all of a sudden this tire starts to shake in the sand. And then it stands up and tries to roll away, and it falls down, and stands up and tries to roll away and falls down. And then eventually, it gets its groove back and starts driving. Also, for a movie that was like 2011 and the budget wasn't great on it, I thought like picture-wise, it looked really good when we were watching it. I don't know. I think it was all digital filmed, which there's a big thing of digital film where like it ages worse than regular film.
Really?
Yeah, but this movie looks really good when they're just the scenery and stuff and how the light reflects off the camera. But anyway, the tire rolling around. There's a lot of that in this movie. A lot of tire rolling around. It's playing like this little flute music in the background that I was enjoying. I was like, what is this soundtrack? And then the tire comes across a plastic bottle, and he kind of turns and looks at it like, what the fuck is this? And he like gives it a couple nudges, and then he like slowly rolls it over, and you hear it crinkling and stuff. He runs over a scorpion.
He does. Yeah. It does.
Yeah. I guess we all know a
genderless
tire. Yeah. Then it finds a beer bottle, and the beer bottle wasn't going down without a fight. He just kept trying to run it over, and the beer bottle was like, nah. And eventually, after a couple tries of trying to roll it over or break it, the tire stops. The tire looks at the beer bottle, and the tire starts to shake. And then the beer bottle just and pops in the middle. And we go over to the civilian people who are watching, and they're like, oh shit, he must have psychokinetic powers or something. And basically, that's how the tire kills people in this movie. Is he has telekinesis powers with his tire brain. I'm not really...
It's fucking weird.
Like, I don't know how the tire works. There's a heartbeat at one point for the tire. We get to a point he drinks water. Like, you hear him, like, gulping the water and stuff. Also, the tire might be in love. Like, maybe. I don't know how this all works. But yeah, so he blows up the bottle. The people watching are like, this is pretty crazy, you know? We go back to the tire. The tire rolls along until it gets dark. And then he, like, passes out. And then it's morning time. The dude in the suit who's running the show comes to wake up the people, and he like jacks some money from like 3 people's bags before he wakes them up. And I like, but as he's waking up, like the money is still very visible in his pocket, like just still hanging out. And I was like, you're not doing a good job of hiding it. But he wakes up the people to watch the tire again. Tire comes across the puddle, like I said, and it, you hear it drinking. And I was like, I didn't remember this. I started watching this movie, Maverick, from the point of, like, the tire waking up in the sand. I had never seen that beginning part where the guy's like, there's no reason for this movie being made. From the sand when he wakes up, and then the gas station where he runs into the first person. And then after that, I think, like, we stopped because we had to go somewhere. Me and Pops, we came across this movie. And then we had to stop.
Really?
Yeah, because we were going somewhere. So I didn't know how this movie ended. I didn't know how it began. Like, I didn't know anything about it.
You're lagging for me a little bit, Tom.
Oh, well, that's all right.
You'll pause for a second, and then you'll catch back up, but like super speaking, like
Maverick?
Words a minute.
Oh. Now you lagged.
Oh no.
It says my connection's in all green. That might be you.
Oh.
I mean, it's good recording wise. I'm not lagging in the recording. But we'll watch it. He drinks some water, and then there's a bunny there watching him. And he blows up that bunny. It does his shaking. I will say that's one of my big complaints about this movie is I get like it's a tire, what's he supposed to do? But that is the only way he ever kills people is he just shakes a bunch.
Yeah, he just shakes and they explode.
Yeah.
Which is not how I thought it would do like some Final Destination shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was waiting for the tire to go like 100 miles an hour and hit somebody. But no, it just like out of the blue has fucking telekinetic power. Yeah, it's blowing people up.
Yeah. And never once do we see someone like try to stop him from shaking. They just sort of keep looking at him until it's done. So that kind of, which maybe their brain is getting affected, so they can't move. But
well, I mean, you don't expect a tire to make your head explode.
Fair. But
yeah, you just stand there and look at it like What the fuck is this?
Yeah, well, like the cops that we'll get to at the end, who they're looking for him, and they know he's a killer tire, and then they just sit there while he's shaking. I was like, all right, they're not gonna try anything. But anyway, he blows up that bunny, and then it cuts to like this super cheerful soul music, and it looks like the tire's rolling away, like all happy because he just blew up the tire. No, blew up the bunny. Tire eventually comes to a highway, and there's one lady. Oh god, there's one lady on the road driving, and the tire sits there and it shakes, and then her car cuts off. And I will say I do like this part because after it cuts off, the tire real slow starts to roll towards her, and all the happy music stops. And it's just like, dun, like this sound. And I was like, oh shit, this tire is doing some stuff. Yeah, and the tire starts to roll up on her. But right behind him is this dude in a truck who like drops some gum on his carpet or something. So he's leaning over trying to catch it. And then he doesn't see the tire. There's a fucking dog barking in my house, and it's driving me crazy.
Grab the gun.
I will. And it doesn't see tire, so it like hits him and knocks him off the road. And then the lady's able to start a car.
Yeah, he runs the fucking tire over.
He does.
And then the lady starts the car and drives off.
He also totally would have like hit her probably if he didn't hit the tire, because she was like just stuck in the middle of the road, and then he like blows past her or whatever. Car is able to start, and she gets, starts leaving, and then tire wakes back up. There's a bird there, so we get another scene of tire just shaking and blowing up a bird. Tire then comes across the truck dude who's stopped at a gas station getting gas, and you see him. There's a shot of him like at a phone booth or something. I think he's trying to call someone, and you see the tire like rolling up behind him or whatever. And then the guy gets in his truck, and as he goes to leave, he turns and looks, and Tire's there looking at him. And this is the point where me and my dad were like, what's going to happen here? Because we were, like, I don't know why we thought something different would happen, but then Tire starts shaking, and we were like, oh? And then the dude's fucking head explodes. And we were like, oh! Yeah. And that's all I remember from this movie is that tire shaking and that guy's head blowing up at the gas station. So he kills the truck driver, and he goes, rolling about his day again. He comes across a motel where he sees the girl's car that he saw on the road. And for some reason, her door is open in her motel room. I don't know why she had it open. And so he rolls in and sees her like stripping and getting into a shower. And he just watches. And then we cut back to like the people watching, and they're like just talking about their body. They're like, she's got a good ass. And then the one dude's like, nah.
Fucking weirdos.
There is one good joke here where like the older lady, they're like, do you think the tire's going to get laid? And then the girl goes, yeah, she's going to start with a blowjob. And I was like, But yeah, the tire, he watches her like in the shower, and then she gets out. She like slams the door on, like she sees it open and she closes it on him or whatever. The tire then somehow, I guess, rents a room right next to her. I don't know how he got this room, but he's just watching aerobics like as loud as he can, and it's keeping the girl up in the next room. She can't sleep. Back at the camp, the little kid who earlier I referred to as Maverick, everyone's hungry. They haven't been fed, and it's been like a day or two now since this started. So he brings them a piece of the blown up rabbit that the tire killed. But they're like, idiot, don't you see it's fake? And he's like, oh, and he throws it down. And I was like, what? Was it a fake bunny? What happened here? But they never elaborate on it. At the motel where Tire is staying, the suit guy who's running the tour up there is also staying here. And he's like scrubbing his shoes or whatever. And then he gets a phone call. And when he gets a phone call, he turns around and there's just a turkey standing in his room. I was like, live turkey, standing there watching them. He answers the phone. We never learn who this is, but he refers to them as Master. He's like, all right, Master, I'll take care of it, all this stuff. And then he hangs up the phone and grabs a knife and starts to sharpen it, and then turns to the turkey and it goes black, and you hear like, of the turkey.
Oh my god, what was that?
That was a spot on.
This man has never heard a fucking turkey in his life.
All right.
Holy shit.
Well, that's a dying turkey. You give me a dying turkey then, Maverick, since you're so...
A dying turkey?
Yeah.
I don't fucking... They gobble.
Even in death, they gobble. As they die, that's what they do?
Yeah, that's the sound they make. I don't know. I wasn't saying it was dying, but... Holy shit.
Well, it was dying. That's why I made the... Listen, I hear a lot of judgment, okay? We see the next day the reason he killed that turkey is because he comes to the tour group where there's one guy who's in like a wheelchair. He's an older guy, and he wears like these earplugs. But they said it was like a medical device. They never really explain, they don't explain anything in this movie, but they never say what it is. He's awake and he's still watching it. So he watches the guy walk up with this big bag where he just drops a whole cooked turkey in the middle of the sand. And he's like, dinner. And everyone wakes up and immediately starts fighting over this turkey like animals. And they're just munching into it and stuff. And the wheelchair guy, I think, even looks at them and he's like, animals,
Yeah, they're going wild on this fucking turkey.
Yeah. Which...
They're ripping it apart, eating it.
Yeah.
Fucking just fistfuls of turkey.
Mm-hmm.
Going at it.
Like, no drinks either. That turkey was dry as hell. Like, the next day, back at the motel, the maid for the motel is getting into Tyre's room where the TV is still on, and she like turns it off. She then looks at the bed, and there's a bunch of like tire marks on the sheets. And then the shower kicks on. And this bitch just walks in the bathroom and opens up the shower. I was like, what?
Yeah, she announces herself.
Well, yeah, but what if it's like a deaf person?
I don't know, Tom.
Yeah. I don't know why I'm trying to put logic in this movie, but you know, I was like, what if it's a deaf person? But she just opens up the shower, and Tyre is there under the shower. Why does Tyre have to take a shower? We'll never know.
Dirty, man.
He was dirty, but
he was out from the desert.
He was.
By the way, like when you first see the Tyre, he's coming out of the dirt.
Yeah.
In like a trash pile or something.
Yeah.
That tire had more tread on it than the fucking tires on my car. That's a brand new fucking tire. Who threw it away? Who threw it away? I need that. Give me it. Tires are expensive, man.
They are. I learned that.
Yeah, this is a brand new fucking tire.
Yeah. She's like fucking freaks, because she thinks these people just left the tire in the shower. So she
fucking tosses it out the door.
She gave him the old Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Tossed him out the front. So tosses it out the door, but she doesn't close the door, so the door is still open. So Tyre gets back up and then rolls back into the motel and closes the door behind him. What he didn't see is there's some kid who, when I first saw him, I keep referring to him in my notes as the emo kid. Because he looked like an emo kid to me. But then later on, I'm like, oh, this is just a normal kid. He just had like the bowl, kind of long, black haircut. I was like, look at this fucking dude. But he sees this happen. So he goes over to tell who I thought was his dad. But now I think was the guy who ran the motel. Because later, that cop interviews him about how long the maid like worked for him or something. So I think he just like ran the motel. So I think that kid may have worked there. But he goes over and he goes, I saw a live tire. And the guy was like, it's too early for this. And he's like, no, I'm telling you, he went into room 16. It was a live tire. And the guy's like, get the fuck out of here. He's like, here's $10. This will keep you entertained for 10 minutes. Go get me a pizza and bring it back. And double toppings, you know. And so he just kind of kicks the kid away. Inside of the motel room, we see the maid laying on the ground, and she's dead now. Her head is... I've been saying tire so much, that's the only thing that pops in. Her head is exploded, and Tyre is watching like a nature documentary on the tortoise. He then, as he's sitting there, he sees the chick that he's been following like walk by, and so he goes and follows after her, and she like goes to the pool or whatever, and he just watches her. And this is when I was like, is he like in love with this girl? He's just like stalking her everywhere.
That's the feel I got.
I did too, and they never go further on. They don't even like, because later their big plan revolves around like his fascination about her, but they never explain how they figured that out. Like, they just kind of dropped that whole thing. I was kind of hoping for some weird Tyre sex scene in this movie. I was like, give it to me. But yeah, he watches her at the pool, and then she gets done, and she like walks right by him. The kid who just went to go get some pizza, on his way back, stops by the bird that Tyre had killed, and takes like the little bits and puts it on the pizza. And he's like, "Here's your double toppings, dickhead." And that was good. Also, there's a random character who never pops up again that's behind him, who's like a hitchhiker, who is only in this scene, and I was like, oh, what's this guy gonna do? And he didn't do nothing. Tyre then, like, tries to commit suicide or something. He just rolls into the pool and sinks to the bottom, and I was like, alright, what's going on here, you know? He sinks down to the bottom. The people who are still watching with binoculars are like, oh, I always thought tires could float, you know, and all this stuff. And they're like, oh, no, they sink. The kid is sitting there, and he's holding his stomach, and he's like, oh, my stomach burns. You know, I think I need a doctor. And his dad's like, whoa, you just ate too fast, you know? And he's like, no, I'm telling you. And then, like, someone else behind him is like, oh, my stomach. And pretty soon, everyone's stomach starts to hurt. And they're all like crying and stuff. And then the guy in the wheelchair is like, he poisoned you. It was in the turkey. Don't worry. I'll still be here. They won't get away with it.
Fucking weird.
Yeah. And all those people die. Like, they just get poisoned and they're dead. And the wheelchair guy's the only one left up there. The emo kid walks into the motel room where he finds the maid dead. So he immediately goes and calls the police and stuff. The chick that the Tyre has been following around is like in a diner, and she sees all the cop cars pulling up. So she comes to like see what's up, and then like the diner doors just fall on her when she's walking out. I was like, what? They fall on her, and she just like ignores it. The cop from earlier is here, who started the movie, and I was like, oh, shout out to this guy. And he's here at the crime scene, and the emo kid takes him and the motel owner dude to go see the Tyre in the pool, and he's like, this is it, this is the Tyre who did it. And they're like, stop playing around, you know? And the guy like makes him get the Tyre out of the water, and then he like shoos him away. Then the cop is like, don't you think it's strange that we can't see the air around us? And I was like, oh, he's saying the thing again. And the dude is like, why do you ask that? And the guy's like, no reason. And I was like, oh, you bitch. You bitch. This is when the movie really takes a turn. Is then the cop goes over to his other cops, and he goes, all right, it's over. You can go back home to your families. And they're like, what do you mean? And he's like, it's over. Everyone's gone. We don't have to be pretending anymore. And they're like, sir, there's a dead body. And he's like, this isn't real life. And they're like, this is real life. What are you talking about? And then maybe my favorite line of this movie is the guy goes, "It isn't real life. Look, you got a stuffed alligator under your arm." And the guy looks down and there's a stuffed alligator, and then he goes, "So?" And I was like, what?
This is real life, Chad. We have a dead body over here.
No. Come on. It's not real life. Look at you. You have a stuffed toy alligator under your arm.
So?
And so they don't believe him, and so then he's like, "All right, take out your gun and aim at me and shoot me." And they shoot him, and there's just like a bullet hole that goes through his shoulder. And he's like, "See? Doesn't even hurt." He's like, "No, this is real." And they shoot him again, and he's like, "Yeah, we're all good." And I was like, what is... I was like, what's going on? But then they're like, well, there's still the maid. How about her? She's dead. And he's like, really? Go open the bag. You might be surprised. And so they go over there. And at first he's like, all right, slap her. But they're like, she doesn't have a head. So he's like, all right, we'll shake her around a bit. So they shake her. And they're like, see, nothing. Still just a cold body. And then the guy is like, what? You know? And this was the moment where I really got interested. Because it was like, I don't think the guy expected her to be dead. Or something. Like, it was like everything was going to plan. But then that girl wasn't supposed to be dead. And he was like, what? What do you mean she's cold? And like, and then the suit guy pops up next to him. And he says, one of the people is still alive. They didn't eat the turkey. You have to keep going. And so the guy's like, oh, fuck. And so then he just goes, I was playing. Get back to work. Like, he still got the bullet holes and stuff. He also, the whole time he's talking, as all this is happening, the guy with the alligator under his arm is still just holding the alligator and petting it. Like, as all this is happening. He goes over to the motel owner and he interviews him about the body. And as he's interviewing him, Tyra wakes up that was laying there. And of course, then he starts looking at the motel guy and shakes. And then he blows up the motel dude's head. And then the cop like looks at him and the tire goes away. And then the guy pulls out a script from his breast pocket and reads it, and he goes, "Oh my God, the killer is a tire." Like that, and so it's like all this was planned from the start, which I guess they did say it was a movie at the beginning. But yeah, it was, you know, it was weird. There's a shot of Tyre looking into a mirror and like thinking about all of his actions throughout the movie. And I was like, is he having like a reflective moment here about what have I become? Like, what is going on? He thinks about everything he's done. And then the emo kid pops up next to him and he's like, can you talk? I'm a human, you know, can you say anything? And I was like, please let the Tyre have a voice. And I want it to be like Patrick Stewart or something. And he just starts talking and it's like, whoa. But he doesn't. He just like rolls away. Back to the cops, and the main cop, who still has bullet wounds and stuff, pulls out a tire and he goes, all right, our suspect looks like this. And they're like, oh, okay. And then he's like, I'll give you guys an hour to catch him. If you have any questions, now's the time to ask him. And the first girl's like, does it have what brand is it? And he's like, I don't think it has a brand, all this stuff. And then someone else asks something else. But then the final guy goes, like, raises his hand. And the guy's like, yeah, what? And the guy goes, is it black? And the dude just, like, looks at him. And he's like, are you fucking stupid? Like, it was a great look. Emo kid runs over, tells him he saw the tire and went that way. So they go to follow. The suit dude goes up to the guy in the wheelchair who's still watching. And he has, like, a whole buffet. And he keeps offering the guy, like, macaroons and all types of shit. And the dude's like, I'm not eating. I just want to finish watching the movie, you know? And the dude's like, please, you know? And he's like, no, I'm not doing it. But then he goes, look, it's a good scene. They're chasing him down the road right now. And the guy's like, really? And so he starts watching too. A cop car pulls up on Tyre. He turns around, looks at the driver, shakes, and blows up his head. That was the part that I got mad because I was like, why isn't anyone trying to do anything? Like, they know he's a killer Tyre at this point. But, you know, they just let it happen. We cut back, and now the suit dude is, like, telling the guy his whole life story while he's eating the whole buffet he brought for that guy. And he tells this really random story about, like, him and his brother in, like, a canyon or something where his brother fell into a crack. And then he's like, and instead of going to get help, for some reason I picked up a rock and I smashed him in the head. And I was like, oh.
Yeah, that thing got dark quick, man.
Yeah, and he smashed, and he's like, and that's when he finally stopped screaming or whatever. Immediately after he finished that story, he's like, oh, my stomach hurts. And then he was like, oh, shit. This food was supposed to be for you. And so that dude lays there, and he keeps yelling about his stomach. And then he dies. He ate the poison that was in the food for everything. The Tyre comes across a dude, like, in a... What would you even call that? Fucking landfill? Who's just burning a bunch of tires?
Yeah, just burning tires.
Yeah.
Which I don't think anybody does that anymore because tires burn forever.
Yeah. And he's just burning tires, and there's like a minute-long scene here of just like kind of sad music while the tires are burning, and it's just like different shots of the tires burning, and then we cut to 3 days later, and I was like, whoa, what is this?
Yeah, a little time jump.
Yeah. And 3 days later, and apparently in these 3 days we missed a whole like supermarket massacre, and and there's just bodies everywhere with their heads blown up. Tyre has managed to work his way into like a trailer park looking place where he's inside one of the houses next to a dead body watching NASCAR. Meow, yeah. The cops outside see him, so they radio for backup. The main cop who like is in on all this stuff shows up, and their master plan is they set up a dummy that is designed to look like that girl that he's been stalking the whole time, and they have dynamite strapped to its back, and they have the girl in a van who has a little voice thing, and she can talk to the Tyre, and they're gonna make him like blow himself up. This is when I was like, oh, so we're just giving up on that whole kind of love story we had going on with the Tyre and stuff, and we're just going to do this? All right. And so, yeah, they're in the van. She's like, keeps calling him like a dummy, and she's like, kill me, you know? But eventually there's a knock on the back of the door, and they're like, what the fuck? And they open up, and the guy in the wheelchair is here, and he's like, this scene doesn't make any sense. he's like, why are we doing this? Why didn't y'all just get a bazooka? Because the Tyre comes out, and he's like looking at the dummy while she's talking to him. He's like, why don't y'all just take a bazooka or a gun, and you can just blow him up while he's standing there and everything. And he's like, this is just dumb, you know? And they're like, all right, we'll work on it. Thanks a lot, you know? He's like, no problem. And so he leaves. They go back to talking to him, and Tyre starts shaking, and he blows off the head to the dummy, but the bomb doesn't go off.
Mannequin.
The mannequin, yeah. And the dynamite doesn't go off. And I was like, of course it doesn't. Like, there was no fuse or anything. It was just like the head poofs. There is nothing affecting the dynamite, you know? So Tyre like rolls back into the house, and this is when the cop is like, all right, fuck this. And he just grabs a gun, goes like marching in. The wheelchair dude is sitting there, and he's like, you can't just go in there. He's got to do it himself or something. And he's like, watch me. And so he goes in, and we just hear a bunch of gunshots. And then the guy just comes out holding like the shredded Tyre with all the bullets and just tosses it on the ground. And he's like, there, now we can get out of here. And they leave. The wheelchair dude is still sitting here. And then the next thing I wrote down in my notes, Maverick, I wrote down, oh my God, there's a tricycle now. A tricycle just comes driving out onto the porch. And the dude in the wheelchair tries to talk to the trike and is like, "Oh, they're going that way. Stay here." You know, all this stuff. And then the trike just like turns to him, and the guy's whole body explodes. And I was like, "Oh!" And he kills the dude in the wheelchair. He goes driving. The cops drop off the girl back at her car that for some reason is on the road where it broke down the first time, even though it was clearly like at the hotel. She was at the hotel before, so I don't know why it would be back there, but whatever. They drop her off. She gets in the car. She sees the tricycle like stop and then start to follow the cops. And then the trike is driving down the road, and a bunch of tires that are on the side of the road start to pop up and follow him. And eventually he has a whole tire army. And then that's the end of the movie. What did it mean?
I don't know.
Oh my god. This was a whole experience. Jesus.
Oh, we should have had Tyler on this one.
Yeah.
I'd like to know his opinion.
He was off today. I told him he could have watched it. I don't know. This might have been one of the movies where he was like, the art. It was like, it's a 10. Which, like I said, Maverick hated it. Once I've just bought into that there's no reason for any of this, I got enjoyment out of it because it was just a killer tire. Which, but anyway. This movie had a budget of $800,000. Made a box office of $680,000. I don't know where it went to theaters. I never saw it, but I'm sure it was in like some little places, I want to see who directed this real fast, because if he directed something else, it's going to be amazing. He didn't do shit. Alright. Let's do best of, worst of, even though I don't know if Maverick will have an answer for either of them. But my best of will be the guy saying you got a stuffed alligator under your arm. And I was like, so that's just I laughed so much at that. Worst of is just the fact that I felt like they dropped that whole stalker love angle with the tire and that girl. Also, that girl was like French for some reason. Like, she was the only one that had an accent in the whole movie, which I just thought was weird that she was like a foreigner. But yeah, that's it. Maverick, you got a best of, worst of for me?
When this movie, when it started, I gave the intro a chance. Dude's driving, hitting. Well, first of all, plays like 5-10 minutes of just like these cinematic shots of the ground and
it does stuff. Yeah,
and it's just popping up people's names like we're supposed to give a fuck.
Those are the people though.
Fuck them people. Nobody cares.
God damn.
I hate movies that do that shit. And then it gets to the intro with the car and the chairs, and I was like, okay, this is kind of wacky, but whatever. And then dude pops out the trunk, and I was like, that's funny. I like that. Then he goes on this whole tirade of it doesn't matter, and that was worst of immediately. I was like, okay, this is shit. So bad. I was like, dude, I don't care. I don't fucking care.
Mm-hmm.
That was definitely worst of. No best of. Not for 0. Nothing.
I mean, I guess that's fair. If you give a movie a 0, you can't really have a part. Because even if you have like a favorite part in a 0 movie, I feel like it's at least like a 0.5 or something, like which I think we've had a 0.5 before on the cast. I think you might have given it. I don't remember.
I don't think so.
I don't remember what it would have been for. I mean, I have a big book of shit, but I'm not gonna look through it right now.
You had a book with shit in it.
I do.
It's a weird
Sometimes
book.
I don't feel like going to the bathroom. I like to just...
That's fair.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's the end of Rubber. Next week, it's Maverick's pick. I just looked at. You said it was either going to be one or two things. So have you decided which one it's going to be yet? Also, I don't know which new Nick Cage movie you're talking about. I don't even know he was in the new movie. I mean, Pig, but that's old. You've watched that too. It's not old, but it's a couple months at this point. I don't know if that's a horror movie either.
No, Prisoners of Ghostland.
Oh, yeah.
Which I watched the trailer. It's classified as a horror, but I don't know if I'd call it a. But I mean, we've watched like Color Out of Space. Did we watch Pig for the cast?
We didn't. You watched it.
Okay. Did you watch it yet?
I haven't watched it, but I saw the other day
should.
someone was like,
good.
"It's amazing." So I was like, "Fuck."
Yeah.
So I'll probably end up watching
definitely good. Way better than fucking that Gems movie. Fucking asshole.
You're a bitch.
Fucking Pig. Pig was good. Color Out of Space was kind of shit.
It was amazing.
Willy's Wonderland was shit.
Willy's Wonderland was terrible.
That other one before all that?
Mandy.
Was it Mandy? That one was pretty bad too.
Yeah, I didn't like Mandy. That's the one that Tyler really likes. I really liked Color Out of Space. And then I hated Willy's Wonderland. I could tolerate Mandy. There was a point in Mandy. But that Willy's Wonderland movie, I was like, oh.
It was a drag.
Yeah. And then is there another Nick Cage? No, maybe that's it. That's the only three we've watched. We haven't watched his Wicker Man version, which is notoriously one of the worst movies ever made. But I thought about picking it, but then the part everyone knows about not the bees or whatever is in like the director's cut that apparently isn't like on Amazon Prime and everything. So it's not even in the real movie. You have to like watch deleted scenes and stuff. But anyway, then the other movie you had was the new Candyman movie.
The new Candyman. We've already did the old one.
We did, and if you remember, I think you and Tyler were kind of on it, and I thought it was one of the best movies we've ever watched. And there's a good chance that this movie I will be very upset about. Not just be like...
I have a feeling this new one is going to be about all type of bullshit nowadays. It's not going to have the feel of the old one. Because the older one was just set on him, like, getting revenge and shit, right?
Well, the old one had a lot of, like, poor black communities sort of sub-vibes and stuff. And obviously Candyman was, like, a dude who was a freed slave who then was killed by white people in the, when were the slaves around? 1800s and stuff. And then I think this movie, if I remember right, Candyman might have been like killed by a cop, if I remember right.
Yeah, that's what it seems like.
Yeah.
I think.
So.
But no, I thought he died. The Candyman we watched, he fucking died in like an apartment building. He wasn't like a slave or nothing.
No, yeah, he was a slave. Remember, and he bought his freedom, and then he became a painter, and he painted some slave owner's like daughter, and then they fell in love. And so they found out and chased him down, and they like whipped him, and they put honey on his body, and that's why the bees all like stung him. That's why he has bees coming out of his mouth and stuff.
I don't remember that.
Yeah. And then he came back for that girl, mostly because she said his name, but also because she looked like the girl that he was in love with, and he was like trying to take her to the, to be his, be my victim is what he, But anyway, all right. Well, which one are we doing? Candyman or Prisoners?
I'm gonna leave it up to when this comes out. This will come out before the next episode, right? Before we film the next episode.
Yeah, it'll come out Friday, and we film on Sundays usually.
Oh, that doesn't give it.
It doesn't really, but.
Time. Well, okay. Let's do like a poll, Tom. I wanted to leave it up to the community. Because I can't decide. I'm cool with either.
All right. Hey, so Monday when Texas Chainsaw came out, we said that vote down in the comments for the movie. That's how we did this little bit. And Candyman kind of won. It got like, yeah. So next week will probably be the new Candyman. All right.
Do a little poll action and see what people think.
Well, all right. I'll put up a poll. I don't give a fuck. All right. Well,
there is other Nick Cage movies though, like horror movie.
Yeah,
Nick Cage.
He's got a few.
He's got a real old one too from '88.
Yeah.
Called Vampire's Kiss. Never heard of it.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, hey, next week, up to you, I guess. The fucking new Candyman or the Prisoners of Ghostland. I almost said Azkaban, but that's Harry Potter. Yeah. All right. Also, I found out the other day, Maverick, that that VHS movie I watched that one week. Do you remember the tape I told you about, where it was the first tape where like it's like a succubus girl and she rips off a dude's cock and balls and stuff?
What?
The first tape in that VHS movie I watched a couple weeks ago, I told you about, where like this chick turns into a demon or whatever and rips off a dude's cock and balls.
Sure.
Yeah, okay. Anyway, that was the first tape, was like that whole thing. Found out the other day that tape, because every tape's directed by a different person, that tape was directed by the guy who directed The Night House that we watched. And I was like, oh, look at that. Which, that was the best tape in that movie, because that movie was kind of poopy. But,
I was watching one of those movie reviews, too. And it's like some Korean horror movie.
Yeah.
There's this guy... this lady got bit and didn't tell anybody. And there's like this douchebag guy in the movie. I don't think I even watched the whole movie review. Anyways, fast forward. She ends up blowing him, and then just turns into a zombie mid-blow and bites his dick off.
Wait.
And I was like,
Maverick, is this live action?
yeah.
Oh, okay. Because I was like, we've watched this. Because Soul Station, that girl turns into a zombie while she's like sucking that dude's dick.
No, it wasn't
Or no,
Soul Station.
Soul Station. How does she turn into a zombie? He was gonna rape her, and then like he killed her somehow, or she turns into a zombie like mid-rape, and then she like wakes up.
I don't think it was.
Spoiler for Soul Station. Yeah. There was one I saw the other day. It wasn't really.
It was consensual.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't really a review. Oh my god, was that your arm or the chair?
It was my arm.
It was like a thing the other day where it was like the scariest scene ever or something. It was some Japanese movie where like this chick is like in the shadows and she like comes out, and then in the middle of it she like stops and she like does like that or something. And it was pretty creepy when I was watching it. I was like, oh. But then the guy was like, the rest of the movie's kind of shit. But that scene was pretty creepy. Let's see. I have a Japanese movie I'm going to pick in the next few weeks. When is it coming up? Oh, fuck. Never mind. I was like, the next few weeks, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 picks before that Japanese movie I was going to pick.
Jeez.
So I got some winners on here, Maverick.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
This last one was not it, Chief.
Next week, or my next pick is a cult classic, and they're remaking it with Peter Dinklage coming up soon. So that'll be my.
What was the name of that one?
The Toxic Avenger, which you might have heard me and Matt.
I saw a fucking trailer with him in it, but I forget.
Oh, that's like a weird. It looks like a Game of Thrones thing, but it's not. And he's like a fucking. They always talk about how ugly he is in these movies. I wonder, like, Game of Thrones, this whole thing was he's an ugly dwarf, and in this movie he's an ugly dwarf who like is in love with this girl, but he can't be with her because he's a dwarf or something. And it's like, I wonder if he ever gets tired of Anyway, all right. Well, next week there'll be a poll. So I've never done the YouTube poll, but I'm sure it's easy to figure out. Or if I don't, you just put in the comments or something.
Yeah, well, if it comes out on a Friday and then we got till Sunday, I didn't think it'd be long long enough for someone to comment.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'll figure out how to do the poll and I'll put that up. We'll let the voting begin. But yeah, so next week, vote on that bitch. Let's see what is happening. Earlier this week, Monday, the overtime for the new Texas Chainsaw came out. Go check that out if you haven't. More shorts should be coming out. Check out the gaming channel, link in description. Doing some stuff over there. I think a new Super People video should be out by the time this podcast comes out. And yeah, I think that's about it. Like, share, subscribe, all that stuff. And we'll see you next week. Maverick, got anything you'd like to add before we get out of here?
No, I'm chilling, man.
Chilling. You were supposed to get blasted for this podcast. You didn't.
Well, I got blasted last night.
God damn.
And I was supposed to watch this movie, but I ended up watching that fucking what the fuck is that dude's name? The Afterlife on Netflix.
Ricky Gervais.
Ricky Gervais, yeah, him.
Yeah.
Which I'm not the biggest fan of him, just because I don't usually watch his regular type of content. But that TV show is pretty good.
Yeah.
It has some like message behind it, but I was fucking drunk. And, yeah, there's some sad parts.
Yeah.
Where I was like, oh shit. And it was getting to me, so I binge watched the like 8 episodes there is.
I think that Peacemaker show just has finale, so I'll probably binge through those.
Yeah, I think last week was the finale.
Yeah.
Or Friday, this Friday. Yeah. It was good. It's pretty good.
Yeah. All right.
But I'm
Yeah. We'll see you guys next week.